Blog Talk Radio.
Warning, the following program may include profane language, controversial viewpoints, and perspectives on the true nature of reality so far removed from the status quo, they'll make your head spin like a top. Young children, corporate executives, and religious fundamentalists should turn away now.
Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to Extraordinary Year. I'm Tim Bravo. Thanks for joining us tonight. T-minus 37 days until December 21st, 2012. Also with us is one of my best buds ever, Canada. Say hello to the nice people, Canada.
How's it going, eh?
All right, so 2 months, 2 days ago, on September 11, 2012, the American embassy in Benghazi, Libya, was attacked. 4 Americans were killed, including Ambassador Chris Stevens. Who did it and why? Well, the answers to those questions depend on who you ask. The White House and the State Department have given conflicting answers. The White House said protesters did it in response to an anti-Islamic video that had only received 1,000 hits on YouTube, even though it had been posted months earlier. A video Muslims only learned about because the Secretary of State's State Department brought it up, tweeted about it. For their part, the State Department said Benghazi was a pre-planned terrorist attack. Now, after this pat explanation was swallowed whole by the mainstream media, it was then virtually ignored by major media. But stinks of cover-up have bubbled to the surface, left and right, and the only way to make that go away is to ignore it, and that's what they've been trying. But it won't stay under wraps. It hasn't stayed under wraps, and it looks like it's going to blow up. And, you know, mark my words, this story is just going to get bigger, and people are going to be talking about this. So tonight we're going to talk about the Benghazi fallout. Okay, now one of the biggest issues of contention here, one of the stories that's come out after the fact, is that while it was happening, CIA operatives in Benghazi actually brought attention to the fact that it was going on, and they were told to stand down. Not once, but twice. So this conflagration is going on. There's this attack going on at the U.S. Embassy, and there are CIA operatives, you know, something like a mile or two away, close by. They know what's going on. They know it's where it is. And they sent out the call for help. They're saying, hey, we need backup. We need to go in here. This thing's going on. They receive a response saying, stand down. Not once, but twice. Well, there was a general named General Carter Ham who, you know, he receives the emails that they put out asking for support and saying, you know, this attack is happening. Well, he reportedly gets a rapid response team ready and tells the Pentagon, hey, this is going on. I got this team ready. We're ready to go. Well, the Pentagon tells him to stand down. Well, he decides to go ahead anyway, reportedly, and is relieved of command within a minute. 30 seconds to a minute. He's no longer the general of AFRICOM, the part of the United States military that oversees Africa. He's relieved of duty for trying to get in there and help. And another report is of Rear Admiral Charles, I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name, but I'm going to guess it's Gowet. And he's also reportedly relieved of command while trying to send air support for Ham. Now, the Gowet thing, that's disputed by the State Department and by the Pentagon, but Snopes hasn't made a call on it. It's like an ongoing rumor. And what's not disputed is that he is being relieved of duty, and that's during a deployment, and that's highly unusual. So we've got a general, the head of AFRICOM, supposedly relieved of duty for trying to go in there and help these guys out, and supposedly, allegedly, a rear admiral in the United States Navy was going to help out and was also relieved of duty. So we've got the CIA operatives in the area asking for help. We got 2 biggies in the military wanting to help out this embassy that's under attack, and they're repeatedly being told to stand down by Washington. What's up with that? Other big news, and I know that listeners out there, surely people have been paying attention to the story, have been following it, and some of this is probably not going to be news to a lot of you. But what is recent is the Friday late evening. Well, I guess it wasn't late evening, but it was Friday, later in the day. The news comes out that CIA Director David Petraeus, is resigning effective immediately because it's been discovered he has had an affair. And the person with whom he's had this affair, apparently, is his biographer, a woman by the name of Paula Broadwell. Well, you know, this is a guy who is supposed to testify in front of Congress about this whole Benghazi thing. All of a sudden, and I'm talking this week, all of a sudden the week before, the director of the CIA resigns over an affair. It it smells. And what's new is this woman, Paula Broadwell, his biographer and apparently his mistress, last month in Denver, there's video of her saying that this embassy, this place where that was attacked, was being used to hold prisoners, Al-Qaeda prisoners, for the CIA. Well, obviously the CIA denies that, and she said this stuff publicly last month. Now, all of a sudden, they're having an affair, and he's having to resign ahead of testifying in front of Congress. And all of a sudden, guess who's not testifying on it? It just stinks to high heaven. And I just can't believe that that Americans are just swallowing the spin on this, that, you know, all they're doing is they're saying, oh, David Petraeus stuck his penis in a woman who wasn't his wife. And that's all there is to the story. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's not talk about the fact that CIA operatives on the ground in Benghazi, as it was going on, were asking to go in and we're asking for support and we're told to stand down. Let's not talk about the leaders of huge divisions of our military being relieved of duty over this thing.
Control the media, control the people.
Wow, and I just can't believe that Americans are actually buying this stuff. But, you know, based on the headlines, based on what people are talking about in the media, I'd say that a great number of them are buying it. You know who's not buying it, and it's almost sad to say because I'm going to sound like I'm, you know, in lockstep with this organization, but Fox News has been the one organization that's been calling out this stuff, and all the little, you know, Tea Party folks and Fox people have they've been talking about this stuff, and people who know me know I'm not a big fan of Fox News, and but at the same time I'm way over this whole left-right paradigm, this whole Democrat-Republican crap, this party system. So you know what, if they happen to be talking about this stuff and I happen to be talking about this stuff, then kudos to them for having the balls to bring this stuff up. And as long as, I mean, surely they're doing it for political reasons because they hate Obama. But if what happens because of that is some people wake up to what's going on, then I guess more power to them. So Petraeus personally went to Libya recently and conducted a review of what happened in Benghazi. He did it specifically to prepare to testify before Congress on this matter. He went to Libya just to check this whole thing out, specifically so he could talk to Congress. Then all of a sudden, he's resigning and he's not going to speak in front of Congress. And people think this is about a woman? People think this is about an affair? Yeah, according to his friends, he was reportedly looking forward to testifying on this. This happened so recently, the report hasn't even been completed. And an affair brings him down late on a Friday. Now he won't testify in something this big. America cannot be this stupid. America cannot be so stupid as to buy this shit.
They're being blinded, man. They're being diverted. Our attention span is so diminished because we're living in such a fast-paced world that we don't have time to do the research on all these different topics. So we take in a lot of what we hear and see through media as truth. And we just accept it.
I hear that, but at the same time, this stuff so obviously stinks on the surface. It's such a botched operation. It's so botched that it stinks on the surface, it doesn't smell right. Well, you don't even have to lift up the covers to look under it. It just stinks. You walk in the room and you're like, oh, there's some shit. There's some shit. I smell it. I smell shit.
It's there.
It's not like, you know, there's some dirt underneath the carpet. This is a huge pile of, like, you know what your shit smells like when you're sick?
Yeah.
That's what this is. Like,
no bueno.
Like David Petraeus took I wouldn't say David Petraeus. I would say it goes higher up than that. But somebody took a giant sickly shit in the room and then tried to put a cover up over it. But you walk in the room, you're going to smell it unless you're stuffed up. And
like
I guess
when you spray a crappy aerosol can, you still smell the shit. Now it's just mixed with that crappy smell.
Yeah. It's kind of what this is. And I don't think it. And you know, eventually that aerosol goes away, and you know what still stinks. And I think that's exactly. Of course, they'll probably try to bring in new smells, new stories, new ways to divert the public's attention. But this isn't going to go away. This is so big, and it's just not going to go away. And people would do themselves good to start looking into it, to start paying attention and look at this, and so that we can scoop this shit up and get it out of our way so we don't have to smell it. You know, and unfortunately, what that means is Barack Obama may not have a second term, and maybe that's for the best. And interestingly, I mean, the two biggest people involved in this thing, you know, the head of the CIA, Petraeus, and the head of the State Department, Hillary Clinton. Guess who also is not going to testify in the congressional hearings about this? Hillary Clinton. She's not going to testify either. She's going to be busy, David. She's going to be on a trip to Australia.
Doing what?
Does it matter? It's not important compared to this. It doesn't matter.
I want to know what she's telling people she's going to be doing.
The only Americans, well, the State Department says she's going to be, you know, on probably an important diplomatic trip to Australia. Really, the only Americans that ought to be headed to Australia right now are Republicans who are mad that Obama got reelected, and they're going to go to Australia because their president's a Christian. So I'm not making that up either. That's a true story. Republicans are saying they're going to Australia because of that.
Sure.
And apparently so is Hillary Clinton, because she couldn't be bothered to testify over the death of 4 Americans, including the American ambassador to a country that we just deposed the leader of. So let's see. Muammar Gaddafi, leader of Libya for like 40 years. And, you know, this summer we helped depose him, and he's brutally killed, you know, ass raped with a knife. And, you know, and then our ambassador on September 11th is killed in an attack. And Congress wants to know about it, but she needs to be in Australia. No, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. She's the Secretary of State for the United States government. He was under her. This had CIA elements involved. This is State Department all over it. Those two need to be there. And I don't care if he is resigned. I don't care if he's no longer the head of the CIA. He was the head of the CIA. He did go to Libya to check this whole thing out. He should be testifying. If Congress has to subpoena him, and they have that power, they should he should testify, and so should she. And the fact that neither of them are, just adding to the shit pile, my friends. Just adding to the shit pile. You know, they're having their underlings testify. I call bullshit. I think you should call bullshit. Don't believe this. And now there are new rumors that Hillary's going to resign days after Obama's reinauguration because she's going for 2016. Now we get to the why. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Well, there are a lot of indications that we're looking at what was supposed to be Obama's October surprise. We didn't have one really this year, did we? And, you know, it was a big election. You know, I always talk about the October surprise. A candidate, especially, say, an incumbent, someone in power, someone who has the ability to orchestrate such a thing, will orchestrate an October surprise, and it will swing the electorate in his favor, and he'll win. I say he because it's always a man, but I don't want to get into gender battles here. There's more important stuff to talk about. So apparently the why was that this was supposed to be Obama's October surprise, and what was supposed to happen is not what happened. Chris Stevens was not supposed to die. People, I don't know if anybody was supposed to die, but Chris Stevens wasn't supposed to die. I mean, think about it. It happened on September 11th. Arabs attack the U.S. Embassy on September 11th, and yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the evidence for the fact that this may have been an October surprise orchestrated by Barack Obama and or the Obama White House, the Obama administration. March 2012, the State Department Regional Security Officer Eric Nordstrom sends a cable to Washington asking for additional diplomatic security agents for Benghazi. He later says he received no response. So he tried again in July. Same result. No response. The cables that he sent have been made public. We know he did this. We know he asked Washington for special security agents to beef up security in Benghazi because they needed it. There were multiple attacks beforehand. Militants were posting the ambassador's schedule to websites so that people, terrorists ostensibly, would know where he was when. They knew when he went jogging, and they posted it on his website in case somebody wanted to do something about it. On June 6th, unknown assailants blew a hole in the consulate's north gate, and it was described by a witness to be big enough for 40 men to go through. 4 days later, the British ambassador's car was ambushed by militants with a rocket-propelled grenade. But Obama's press secretary, Jim Carney, and I just love the fact that this guy's last name is Carney, because this is a carnival. Don't believe it. Anyway, Obama's press secretary, Jay Carney, tells the media there's no actionable intelligence. Really? No actionable intelligence? The regional security officer for the State Department is asking Washington for additional security. We've got multiple attacks, people throwing bombs over the wall, people blowing up the gate, people attacking Western nations' ambassadors' cars with rocket-propelled grenades. No actionable intelligence that there was something up. That's what the press secretary told the press, and that's what the press told the American people, and that's what the American people believed. That's what the media reported, and that's what you swallowed. But you know what, David? This reminds me of Bush and Rice saying that there was no way to protect terrorists would fly planes into the Twin Towers, even though that's exactly the scenario that was envisioned years before by the Project for a New America, or a New American Century, that included multiple members of the Bush administration. They envisioned exactly that scenario, flying planes into the Trade Center. They put a picture of the Trade Center in a crosshairs on the cover of their report, for God's sake. But they said that nobody had any idea that terrorists might do that on September 11th. There was no actionable intelligence on that September 11th, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? You bought it, America. Why? Why? Okay, moving on. August 14th. Special security team leaves Libya. This is less than a month beforehand. The team leader, Lieutenant Colonel Andy Wood, has testified that Stevens wanted them to stay. In fact, it sounds like he's like practically begging them to stay. Like he was scared, guys. This is the dead guy. Was scared, begging the special security team not to leave Libya. But But our government pulled them out, just like they had the entire, like all our air fighters off in Canada, wasn't it? On September 11th, you know, everybody's off doing other things. They pull out the security before this happens. In the weeks before September 11th this year, Libyan security guards report being warned by family members of an impending attack. On September 8th, the Libyan militia tasked with protecting the consulate warns U.S. diplomats that the security situation is, quote, frightening. 48 hours later, the U.S. flies Ambassador Stevens back into Benghazi. They take away his security. They know that there's a situation, and they purposely place him in that situation. 48 hours after September 8th, the U.S. flies Ambassador Stevens, who was scared to death and wanted protection, wasn't getting it, flies him back into Benghazi. September 10th, the day before the attack, al-Qaeda leader, and I'm not going to call him Al-Qaeda because we know that the CIA created Al-Qaeda, al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri calls on Libyans publicly to avenge the death of his Libyan deputy, Abu Yahya al-Libi, who was killed in a drone strike in Pakistan. That's where America bombs our ally. Inside our allies' country, Pakistan. They killed the al-Qaeda leader, or his deputy, his Libyan deputy, in Pakistan in a drone strike. And so Ayman al-Zawahiri calls on Libyans the day before this happens to avenge the death. Now, I mean, if you look at all of this stuff, look at this timeline, and then look at the fact that Jay Carney, the Obama administration's, mouthpiece, is telling America and the American media, we had no actionable intelligence. You know it's a lie. I've just told you how many lies. I mean, that just stacks up. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. Are you catching this? It's a lie. So,
I mean,
if they're lying, what really happened? I'm sorry, what's your question, Canada?
So how do we change it? How do we get the word out to where people know?
I don't know. Maybe we start watching Fox News. Jesus Christ. Is that where we are?
I mean,
serious.
Seems to be.
According to insider reports, and this is hearsay, but it is reportedly from Obama administration, White House insider, whistleblower, reports that this was an Obama October surprise plan gone awry. We look at look at the fact that the State Department brings up the movie that subsequently, spawns all these demonstrations across the Arab world. All of a sudden, the Arab world's just pissed about this Muslim movie, this anti-Muslim movie. And we believe that because the government told us. But what happened was the State Department, the embassy in Egypt, tweeted that, there's this movie and we don't condone it. Nobody knew about the movie before that happened. Well, now we've got the Muslim Brotherhood. All of a sudden, they're protesting in Egypt. This is like 15 hours before Benghazi. This all comes out. So now the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, the people who overthrew Mubarak, the people that we helped overthrow Mubarak, that we worked hand in hand with, the new leaders in charge of Egypt, now this Muslim Brotherhood, they're protesting in Egypt this anti-Islamic film that they didn't know about until the United States State Department told them about it through Twitter. Now they're protesting, and those protests spread to the region. And it was a similar protest in Benghazi, which, by the way, apparently never happened. There apparently was no protest, but the story is that then there was a protest in Libya and Benghazi, and that's how this whole thing happened. And what was supposed to happen, according to this report, this whistleblower on the inside of the White House, what was supposed to result in the kidnapping of a carefully placed pawn, Chris Stevens. And I've just told you how carefully placed he was. They removed the security, he was pissing his pants, and they put him in that situation, even though they knew, even though they had loads of actionable intelligence, that something was up. Even the Libyan guards were like, we're not hanging out, fuck that. We know something's up. I mean, come on. So they stick Chris Stevens back in this situation. He was supposed to be kidnapped. And what was supposed to happen was that Obama was supposed to, have an Obama drama and, orchestrate the release of Chris Stevens in exchange for this sheikh that the Muslim Brotherhood wants released that the United States has. And then because of that, because he shows his leadership and he secured the release of our beloved ambassador, a really nice guy, Chris Stevens. I mean, imagine the media coverage. Oh, this guy's wonderful. Oh, he's American white bread, and we love him, and he's awesome, and he pets puppies, and don't you wish he was released? And, oh, Obama got him released, and all we had to do was give away this sheikh. And, then the right could be like, well, America's not supposed to negotiate with terrorists, and Obama's bad. But then everybody else in America, the people who, are well-meaning and good people with good hearts, like most Americans are, they're like, oh, look, Barack Obama did the right thing. It was a hard situation. It was a hard situation, and he took care of it. He showed real leadership. Oh, look, what a nice guy. What a nice guy who's, killing families in minivans in Pakistan with drone strikes, but he's such a nice guy. That's what was supposed to happen. It was going to be a win-win situation. Obama wins the re-election, and the Muslim Brotherhood, who we helped to power in Egypt, gets their sheikh. Win-win. Whoops. Guess what? Didn't go off that way. Somebody slipped up. Somebody killed the guy. Oh, dang. Now what? Now, you got to cover it up. But it's a big pile of shit. And it's stinky. So, we've got the CIA director. Poof. He's supposed to testify on this thing, and he's looking forward to it. Nope. Poof. So
let me ask you then, are the courts going to see something stinky as well in the fact that neither of them are going to be there to testify? Are they going to set up a second hearing?
Well, it's up to Congress, really, at this point. Congress has the power to subpoena, and they can subpoena him. They can make him testify or put him in prison. And the same thing with Hillary Clinton. But, that's a politically touchy situation. I mean, you're talking... Then again, Texas is talking about seceding from the United States, so I guess, politically charged situations are kind of the norm these days. But it would... that's going really far for Congress to be like, because now Hillary Clinton's not going to testify either. Really? Come on. But
right, so
that's the power to make it happen. And the Republicans are talking about this. And if they weren't so embarrassed over this election, people keep saying, well, the Republicans are floundering, they need to find an issue. Guess what? I got an issue for you, Republicans, if you're listening. And it starts with a B and ends with an I. It goes like this. Benghazi. Learn how to say it and don't stop saying it. And I watched Bill Maher this last weekend, and they had one Republican, I don't know if she's Republican, but she's definitely conservative. I don't know if how much she toes the party line because she is on MSNBC, but she brought up Benghazi, and of course everybody else was like blah 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 blah, talking over and blah 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 blah. You can't blah 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 blah. Don't take that seriously. Ha ha, you're crazy. They had Samuel L. Jackson. He was like, wake the fuck up. But guess what? Republicans, God, I hate the political party system. I hate parties, period. And I particularly despise the Republican Party. But if you're listening out there, Republicans. Now's your chance to do something good, and don't let this Benghazi bone go. Grab onto it with your teeth and shake it with all its might. Because, I mean, seriously, if you want to see Barack Obama fall, if you want to see him down before he even reaches his second inauguration, blow this whistle until somebody has to, talk to you to make it stop. This is 9/11. Literally. This is 9/11. This is time for a new 9/11 truth. Hell, we don't have the truth on the last one. But this is literally 9/11 all over again. And, it happened under a Republican president last time. So I know you Republicans aren't going to be too prone to lift up the cover on that one. Although I think a few of you are waking up. And quite honestly, if people could just put away their partisanship and put away their nationalism and their patriotism and just be human beings, focused on what's best for human beings, you would see, both of these 9/11s need to be exposed. Let's shine some light into darkness. Let's eliminate the secrecy. Let's uncover the cover-ups. Let's find out what really happened and let people know. Because when the American people find out, I mean, if that's what happened, if this is a botched Barack Obama October surprise, if that's really what happened, then that man does not need to be in the White House. That man does not need to. He's not a good guy. He's not a good guy. I don't care how much you think he's a good guy. He's not a good guy. He's a bad guy, just like the rest of them. And we don't need him as our leader. I don't want him as our leader. And I voted for him the first time. He didn't make that mistake the second time. So don't let this sit. This story could, and probably should, make for a short-lived second term for Barack Obama. And, the bottom line really to me is, people, stop listening to the news networks. Because all they're doing is taking what government tells them and telling you that's what's real. All they're doing is taking what officialdom tells them and telling you that's what reality is. This is what happened because the government tells us. The CIA says, the CIA told us that Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy. Stop listening. Stop listening. Turn that shit off. If people would just stop listening, then they wouldn't have the power they have. Talk amongst yourselves. Examine the truth for yourselves. Let's think about this. Let's think out loud. Let's have a discussion about this. Let's demand the facts. Let's demand the testimony. Let's demand to hear from General Ham. Let's demand to hear from General Petraeus. Let's demand to hear from Hillary Clinton. Let's actually look at what Eric Nordstrom has to say about how Chris Stevens was begging him. Well, I guess it wasn't him. It was Wood. What was that guy's name? I have his name here. Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Andy Wood was the guy that Stevens supposedly was begging not to leave. Please don't leave. I'm scared. Let's hear from him about that. Let's hear about all the actionable intelligence, and then look at the fact that Barack Obama's White House repeatedly told us there was no actionable intelligence. And then let's admit to ourselves it's a fucking lie. A repeated fucking lie. Barack Obama lies to you. Guess what? Joe Wilson was right. He lies. He lies. He lies to your face. He lies. Accept it. And then do something about it by demanding that he not sit in the White House any longer. And I don't mean put Joe Biden in there. I don't mean put Mitt Romney in there. I mean, it's time to overhaul this entire system. It's time to overhaul our entire civilization. But let's start by not letting Barack Obama get away with this. What are you going to do about it? Are you just going to sit there and listen to this episode and then be like, makes sense, and then not talk about it with anybody? Are you going to click like and then move on with your life? Or are you going to do something? That's my question to you people. Canada, my brother.
Yes.
I mean, you didn't know about all the details on this stuff before tonight, did you?
I did not. No, it's quite enlightening, and of course disturbing as always, but not unexpected. You know, I mean, you know, that's some shit. You know, that dude probably sat in the room by himself, waiting, knowing that he was going to die, and that's not a cool way to go out at all.
I believe he had somebody else with him, one other person with him, but yeah, that's pretty. He didn't die until the way to the hospital.
Did he have a family, or, you know?
Not there, not involved in the attack.
No, but, you know, a wife or kids or anything?
I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is that,
besides the point,
I mean, he was well liked in that Libyan community. He would have dinner with community leaders, with their families, you know, would visit their homes. He was well liked. It sounds like he was a really nice guy, perfect for the job of political pawn, perfect for the job of kidnappee. You know, here's such a nice guy. Here's somebody that we can turn into, you know, look at the puppy eyes. Oh, you know, put Sally Struthers on it. She'll make you feel sorry for him, and you'll want Barack Obama to save him. And if we have to give up a shake, no big deal. We got Chris Stevens back. We love Chris Stevens. He's a nice guy. Barack Obama's a nice guy.
You said he died in the hospital?
That is the official story, yes, that he died after the attack. And there's
injuries?
Several.
Gunshot, stabbings, what?
No, I'm going to guess some sort of bommingness or smoke inhalation or something. It was the room that he was in was smoky, and you know, it was filled with smoke, the safe room that they were in. Interestingly enough, the pictures of it, this safe room, supposed safe room, had windows. So I'm like wow, they just were not prepared. I'm thinking United States Embassy safe room in Libya. You know, I'm thinking
underground bunker,
or at least no windows.
Right.
You know, let's have something where, you know, you've got a door with bars that, you know, interlock and make it safe. I'm thinking safe, maybe. You know, maybe some smoke detectors and a system to put out fires.
Maybe some gas masks.
Yeah, you know, but
a gun.
But instead, we have a situation where there was this ongoing attack. Oh, and part of this that we haven't talked about, and I'm really I'm kind of interested in the fact that nobody's calling in. You guys, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that there were reports that there were drones, eyes in real time, looking down on what was going on, and still, the word from Washington was stand down. Just, you know, when was the last time we heard stand down? We had reports of stand down on 9/11. Oh yeah, Norm Mineta testifying in front of Congress that Dick Cheney was telling people to stand down, don't shoot down the airliner. And I believe that was the one that ended up supposedly, allegedly going into the Pentagon. You know, where people were killed because something hit the Pentagon. Something that probably wasn't.
That's what I've never understood, is why those two airplanes were never shot down, or why any of them were shot down.
Because maybe they weren't there to be shot down.
Right. Well, I'm wondering why that's not questioned, why the public doesn't. I mean, you know, if a missile was heading towards, you know, or, you know, say even an enemy jet was flying over our territory, that bitch would be shot down in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, and this stuff was going on. You know, they were in the air for. I mean, I know we're going back 11 years now, but I think it was something, you know, 45 minutes at least in the air with no response. Really? We got Dick Cheney, according to one of the cabinet secretaries, Norm Mineta, telling the military to stand down. But, you know, Cheney, of course, denies that. So it's his word against Mineta's. Oh. America, wake up. Come on. Don't let another 9/11 be pulled on you. Don't let this happen. Talk to people about this. Find out about it. Demand. You know what we need to do, and if I do diligence before this episode, what I would have done is checked out the names of all the committee members and the heads of these committees who's actually, looking into this matter, this Benghazi thing. If I'd done due diligence, I'd have those names. I'd know who it was. I know Daryl Issa, who's a Republican from California. I know that he's on one of these committees, but I don't know who the heads are. But we need to find out who they are. We need to barrage their offices with phone calls and emails. We need to make people talk about this amongst ourselves. We need to raise a stink. We need to point out the fact that some shit stinks about this. And you know what? If it takes Fox News and Republicans, and if it takes me joining with Republicans on something, I guess then I will just have to I'll have to practice what I preach about unity and no separation and no division and not drawing lines, and just join with my fellow humans who are actually interested in the truth, who are actually interested in ending secrecy, although they may just be interested in ending Barack Obama's presidency. But you know what? At this point, I'm interested in ending Barack Obama's presidency too. I am, because he lies. And I don't care. I'm sorry, but I don't care what light workers out there have to say about Barack Obama. Oh, Archangel Michael said he's a good guy. And, the 2012 scenario backs him. And, he will be vindicated. You know what? Jay Carney is the mouthpiece for Barack Obama. Jay Carney, Barack Obama's spokesperson, said there was no actionable intelligence on Benghazi. There was a shit ton of actionable intelligence on Benghazi. I'm sorry, light workers. I'm sorry, Steve Becko. I'm sorry, 2012 people. I'm one of you, but I'm here to tell you that Barack Obama is not a nice guy. Barack Obama lies. He is not a figure of the light. And these people telling you that and you swallowing it serves to protect this malicious motherfucker who kills babies. He does. He kills babies. He shoots them with drones. He kills Americans. He's killed the Constitution of the United States of America, if that's something you care about. What happened to due process for American citizens? Barack Obama will kill an American citizen, will play judge, jury, and executioner and sign the death warrant and have an American citizen killed with a drone strike, and has, without due process of law. No charge, no trial, no jury of his peers, just, you know what? Somebody told me you did some bad stuff and that you're a danger to American interests, so I'm the president, and George Bush gave me this power, and so I'm going to use it, and boom, you're dead. Whoops. Sorry. I don't care, because I'm not a good guy. I'm not nice. I'm the president. I can't be nice. Well, guess what? He's not nice. And the longer that you guys are out there protecting him with your silence, the longer he's going to be there destroying your rights and shitting on your Constitution. You may not like the language that I use, but that's what's happening. You know what? If you don't like it, if you don't like these ideas, I challenge you to prove me wrong. And I challenge you to call me and tell me I'm wrong, and tell me how I'm wrong. Don't just call me up and say I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong. But you know what? You're not going to do that, because I've got the facts and I've laid them out for you right here tonight. The fact is, Barack Obama lies. The fact is, Barack Obama kills. The fact is, Chris Stevens and 3 other Americans died, lost their lives, because Barack Obama wanted to get reelected and was playing political pawns with them. That sound like a nice guy to you? That sound like a leader? Someone you want to follow? Well, it's not someone I want to follow. And it's not someone I want representing me. And I'm here to tell you, he does not represent me. He does not represent the light. He does not represent anything holy. He does not represent anything good. He's a murderous bastard. who is shitting on the Constitution, signed the NDAA, but, issued a signing statement promising, my administration won't use it, but I'm going to leave it here for the next administration, which will probably be Republican, because America will find out all the bastard shit I did, and will think, Democrats are crap, let's go Republican again. And then a Republican will get it, and they'll pull a George Bush, and your rights will just be... I don't want to be a fearmonger. I don't. But you know what, people? You got to choose. And this is what you're choosing. You're choosing to follow this guy. You're choosing not to see what's being done right in front of your face. And so you get what you get. And arguably, that's what you deserve. Unless you do something about it. So what the fuck are you going to do? Are you going to talk about it? Or are you just going to leave it alone? You think that that Alex Jones or Tim Bravo or, God forbid, Rush Limbaugh, you think that, us out here talking about this is going to make a difference? No, you talking about it is what's going to make a difference. You contacting Congress in droves and demanding a real investigation into both 9/11s is what's going to make a difference. Political will is what's going to make a difference. And until people unite, not individuals, not media hosts, not one party, not Fox News, you, not until you and a whole lot of other people unite, get together, and demand that this be looked into, that something be done, nothing's going to change. And I want something to change. Am I going to do something? You bet your ass. I'm not just going to come on this show and talk to my good bud Canada here and tell him about all this shit that's happened and hope that you guys out there on Blog Talk Radio and YouTube are listening in. I'm not going to hope that, I do hope that you'll do something, but I'm not going to just sit on my ass and just talk about this. I'm actually going to make some phone calls and write some letters and some emails. I might actually stand on a corner. I might stand on an overpass with a big sign, and I don't know what it'd say. Maybe Barack Obama, you lie. I don't know. That probably won't. It would probably turn some people off. But Google 9/11 truth. Google. Look, General Petraeus. I just don't see how anybody can see what happened this last week with General Petraeus resigning over an affair without any hubbub whatsoever. The news wasn't, one day we find out he has an affair and then the next day he resigns. The news was late on a Friday. The way they like to do was stuff they don't want anybody to talk about. That's your first fucking clue. Late on a Friday, the news was General Petraeus resigns. Not he had an affair, but he resigned because he was found out to have had an affair. With whom? With his biographer, who last month went on a stage in Denver, Colorado, and said that place was being used to house CIA prisoners. But wait, Barack Obama told us that it all happened because of this anti-Muslim video that only had 1,000 hits when this whole thing went down, that nobody knew about in the Arab world until the United States State Department tweeted about it in Egypt. It's so obviously orchestrated. Come on. But I've put the dots out for you guys, and I've connected them. What are you going to do about it? Are you really going to just sit there and take it? Are you going to continue to just take this? Because if you do, they're just going to continue to do this kind of crap. And then you're going to have nice, fancy little inaugurations, and Oprah will cry, shed a little happy tear, and American flags will wave, and puppies and kittens and American pride, and we love policemen. Firefighters are great, and come on, people. You're not this dumb anymore. I know you're not this dumb anymore. We're waking up, right? But you can't be awake and not do anything. You can't just see it and then go, I see it. Okay, well, I'm just going to not accept it, and then not talk about it, and not help wake up your fellow Americans, because guess what? Most people are still... They've got their veins tapped in to a drug, called the American media. We don't have journalism in this country, certainly not on the national level. We don't have people asking questions. We have people taking statements from public officials and reporting it as fact. Today, the State Department said Chris Stevens was killed in an attack in Benghazi, orchestrated by Al-Qaeda terrorists that were mad about an anti-Islamic video. The end. Those bad terrorists. No, that bad president. Those bad high-ups in the Pentagon. Those bad false flag perpetrating motherfuckers did it again, and they're selling it again, and right now most of you are buying it. And I'm here to ask you to implore that you stop buying it and that you do something about it. So, if you go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/extraordinaryyear tomorrow, my mission and your mission, should you choose to accept it, I'm going to post ways that you can do something about this. I'm going to write them down. I'm going to come up with them, think about it, write them down, go do the research, do the legwork for you, and be happy to do it, and present you on our Facebook page, facebook.com/extraordinaryyear, with a plan of action. Things that you can do. I'll provide you links. I'll provide you phone numbers. But please, do something. You know what? If you're listening to this on YouTube, it's probably in the description right now. Oh, did you look? Oh, there it is. Oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, America? What are you going to do, world? You know what? You don't have to be an American. Just flood them. You know what? If the news was, reports are coming in from around the world that people are pissed off about this Benghazi lie. Eventually, the media is going to have to cover it. Eventually, people will stop paying attention. And when we look back on these first few years of the 21st century, man, people are going to be kicking themselves. People are going to be kicking themselves when they've got free energy and realize that they were throwing $4 a gallon at the bankers that they could have kept in their pockets the whole time, that they didn't need that polluting fossil fuel to begin with, that they hadn't needed it for a century, that the elite, the people at the top of this planetary heap, weren't using it. They had technology that they were keeping for themselves, even though they could pay for it because they've got all your money. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right. Well, we got about 3 minutes left. So, you know what? There are other resignations to talk about. Eric Holder, the Attorney General, is reportedly stepping down. All of a sudden, just resigning out of nowhere. Eric Holder apparently resigning. Hillary Clinton apparently rumored to resign. So there's a lot of stuff going on. One last story. If you haven't heard about it, it's Canada. You know my favorite football team is the Denver Broncos, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know I'm all big into UFO stuff. Well,
sure.
This last week, a story came to the a viewer in the Denver area who had been documenting UFO activity over Denver proper during the middle of the day for months on end, brought his proof, his evidence, his video to the Fox station KDVR in Denver, and they did this story showing these objects that, between noon and 1 p.m., at least twice a week, these little things would shoot around in the skies over Denver, like super fast, making super fast changes. Really good video. Well, to their credit, KDVR didn't just take his video and run with it. What they did, they went to the location where he shot it. They set their own camera and ran it for an hour. Guess what they got? The same thing. And then they took it to an aerospace expert, an aviation expert, and this guy, he's astounded. He's like, it's not a plane, not a helicopter, not a bird, not a bug. It is an unidentified flying object. I can't identify it. It is literally an unidentified flying object. They contacted NORAD and the local air traffic control. Neither of them had seen it. And Fox stations around the country have picked up this story and aired it now. It's aired in St. Louis. It's aired out on the East Coast. And Huffington Post has even picked it up. I guess that was an eventuality. So that's something that's blown up, and I highly recommend checking it out. Just watch the video. It will astound you. Guess what? There's these little silver medal-y UFOs flying around over Denver on the regular, and it's right there for people to see. Anything cool happen? Any interesting news on the 2012 variety that has come across your radar this week, Canada?
No, just
you're like most Americans. Well, I guess you're not an American, but you're like most Westerners. You're just living your life. You're busy. You know, you've got work to do. You've got school to do. You're just trying to get by and keep your nose to the stone. And meanwhile, there's a UFO over your head.
I wish, man. I'm still looking up all the time, seeing some cool stars, but that's about it.
Well, I really hope that people out there listening keep your eyes up. When you go outside, it just takes a second. Look up. You might see something. One day. Just keep it up.
If nothing, it's amazing to look at.
Well, other than chemtrails. Make notes of those, too.
I'm talking about the starry night.
But I don't want to descend into further negativity. I have drug you guys through the mud of what I've been dealing with by, taking a proper look at this Benghazi situation. I really hope that you will look at it for yourselves. We'll really examine it. There's a ton of evidence posted to the Facebook page tonight, and it will still be there towards the top in the morning. Please go check it out and then do something. Talk to people. You know what? You got one friend that you think might be open to this stuff? Bring it up. And you know what? If you have the balls to talk to somebody you think might not be open to it, talk to them. You got somebody you know is not a fan of Barack Obama. Hey, guess what? That's 1 in 2 people. Talk to them about it. If we just got the people who didn't like Barack Obama looking at this, something would happen. And then, aside from talking to people about it, I'll put the information out there. Make the calls. Send the emails. Speak truth to power. Don't just sit around and take this anymore. Because they're lying to you. And they're fucking up your children's future. It's your responsibility to do something about that. If you consider yourself a patriot, then they're screwing up your America. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Please do something. So, that's going to be it for us tonight. Like I said, Facebook.com/extraordinaryyear. Go check it out. Like it. We just crested 1,000 likes today. That's a new little milestone for the page. So go like us. Spread the word. You can follow me on Twitter at Tim Bravo. Follow my bud Canada at Tainted Drums. And that's going to do it for us on the 37th day before December 21st, 2012. Keep your ear to the ground. Remember, do not be afraid. This is an extraordinary year. And God willing, peace is on its way. Namaste. See you later, David.
Later, man.